Shabbat Shalom to all of you, and Shabbat Shalom to those who are watching at home as well, or in various different places, or even playing back. I've always wondered what things would be like if we played backwards. Do you think we could do everything backwards one service?
Maybe on Purim.
I used to do that at school. I used to talk backwards. It was like my code. Very weird, very geeky. Never mind. Shabbat Shalom to all of you. We are going to be following service 4 this morning, before we start, we're going to ask you to turn to
Page 126.
Page 126. Page 126. And in the middle of the page, just at the first paragraph break.
Elohim, Berah.
Eternal God, we come before you surrounded by members of our community. With them we share our happiness and it becomes greater, our troubles and they become smaller. May we never be too mean to give, nor too proud to receive. For in giving and receiving we discover you, are beginning to understand the meaning of life. Let us not separate ourselves from the true strength of our community, the experience and wisdom of old people, the hopes of the young, and the examples of care and courage which sustain us. Give us an open mind and a generous heart to welcome those who need us and to admit your presence into our daily life. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Ozer Yisrael b'gvura. Turn over the page.
Ashreinu, Ashreinu, Matov, Matov, Matov Chalkeinu. Ashreinu, Ashreinu, Matov, Matov, Matov Chalkeinu. Manayim, Manayim, Manayim Goraleinu. Manayim, Manayim, Manayim Goraleinu. Manayim, Manayim, Manayim Goraleinu. Manayim, Manayim, Manayim Goraleinu. Mayafa, 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 Yerushalayim Ashreinu. Mayafa,
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 Mayafa, Yerushalayim Ashreinu.
And we read together.
Baruch she'amar v'haya ha'olam. Baruch Hu. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech ha'olam. Hamechulal b'fi amo. Meshubach u'mefo'ar b'lshon chasidav ve'avadav. Bishvachot u'bizmirot. Negadeh lecha v'namlichecha. Malkeinu yachid chei ha'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai, melech mechulal b'tishvachot.
And at the foot of the next page.
Nishmat kol chai, tevarech et shimcha. Adonai Eloheinu, beruach kol basar, tefaer u'tronen. Zichrecha Malkeinu tamid min ha'olam ve'ad olam.
God of all generations, of all ages, of all creatures, to whom our praise ascends, you guide the world with constant love, your children with tender care. To you alone we give thanks.
Ilululu, 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 ilululu,
shekatuv. For so it is written, all my bones shall say, who is like you, Eternal One? Therefore we extol you and proclaim your glory, and praise your holy name. As it is said, praise the Eternal One, O my soul. Let all that is within me praise God's holy name.
Adonai malach geut lavesh, lavesh Adonai os hitazar, avtikon tevel baltimot, nachon kisecha me'az me'olam ata. Naseu neharot Adonai, Naseu neharot kolam, Yiseu neharot doch yam. Mikolot mayim rabim, adirim, nishbereyam, adir, bamarom Adonai, idotecha ne'emdu me'od, levetecha nava kodesh, Adonai leorech yomim.
Please rise. Yishtabach shimcha la'ad malkeinu, ha'el ha'melech ha'gadol v'ha'kadosh b'shamayim uva'aretz. Ki lecha na'er Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avoteinu. Shir u'shvacha, Hallel v'zimra, brachot v'hodaot me'ata ve'ad olam. Baruch ata Adonai, habocher b'shirei zimra. On page 135, page 135. Baruchu et Adonai hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai hamvorach, le'olam
Praise the
va'ed.
one to whom our praise is due.
We praise the Eternal One, to whom our praise is due, forever.
Please be seated.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, melech haolam, yotzei or uvorech osher, oseh shalom uvorei et hakol. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, melech haolam, yotzei or uvorech osher, oseh shalom uvorei et hakol.
Praise you, Eternal One, our God, Sovereign of the universe, Maker of light and Creator of darkness, Author of peace and Creator of all things. In your mercy you give light to the earth and all who live on it, and in your goodness you renew creation continually day by day. How manifold are your works, O God, with wisdom have you made them all. The world is full of your creations. Your handiwork proclaims your praise. The radiant stars bear witness to your glory.
Baruch atah Adonai yotzei ha-meorot.
Continue together. Great is your love for us, eternal God, and abundant your compassion. Our ancestors trusted in you, and you taught them the laws of life. So be gracious to us and teach us. Incline our hearts to hear your words, to know and understand, to learn and teach, and with love to uphold the truths of your Torah. Enlighten us with your teaching. Make us faithful to your commandments, and wholehearted in the love and awe of your name. For in love you summon us to serve you and proclaim your unity. We praise you, O God. In love you have called your people Israel to serve you. Please rise.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Vaed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, b'chol levavecha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha. V'hayu hadvarim ha'ele, asher Anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha. V'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam, v'shivtecha b'veitecha, u'v'lechtecha v'derech, u'v'shoftecha u'v'kumecha. U'kshatam le'ot al yadecha, v'hayu letotafot b'einenecha. U'ktabtam al mezuzot beitecha, u'v'sha'arecha.
Please be seated.
Le'man tizkeru, v'asitem et kol mitzvotai, v'hitem kedoshim le'lohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem, asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, lihot lachem le'elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem.
Good and beautiful and true, sound, established and enduring are these words, now and forever. True it is, Eternal One, that you are our sovereign God and Redeemer, as you were the God and Redeemer of our ancestors. You are our Maker, the rock of our salvation. We have known you always as our helper and our liberator. There is no God but you. Truly you are first and you are last. We have no Redeemer but you. You redeemed us from Egypt and freed us from the house of bondage. Then with great joy, Moses, Miriam, and all Israel together sang to you this song.
Mi chamocha bailim Adonai, mi chamocha nedor b'kodesh norah, tehilot osei feled.
A new song the redeemed sang to your name at the shore of the sea. With one accord they gave thanks and proclaimed your sovereignty.
Adonai imlach le'olam vaed. Sur Yisrael, kumah Bezrat Yisrael, Kaleinu Adonai, Tzevaot Shemo, Kadosh Yisrael, Baruch Adonai, Kol Yisrael, Kol Yisrael, Yisrael. Please rise. Adonai, Sefer Eternal God, open up my lips, that my mouth shall declare your praise. Eternal God, open up my lips, that my mouth shall declare your praise. Baruch atah Avotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel ואלוהי לאה, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומשיח ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, וחיי מתים אתה רב להושיע, משיח הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מזריח השמש ומוריד הטל.
מחכה אל חיים בחסד, מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים רופא חולים ומתיר אסורים ומקיים אמונתו בשני עפר. מי כמוך בגבורות ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישוע.
ואמגן אתה לאהות מתים,
ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי המתים.
ונקדש את שמך בעולם כשם, שמקדשים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב יד על נביאך.
קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוך הארץ, כבודו.
כבודו מלא עולם,
ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו.
במקום כמלכנו תופיע, ותמלוך עלינו כמלכים אנחנו לך.
ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי ציון, לדור ודור, hallelujah.
From generation to generation, we will make known your greatness. To the end of time, we will proclaim your holiness. Your praise, O our God, shall never depart from our lips.
We praise you, Eternal One, the Holy God.
You inspired our ancestors to hallow this day for your service. When upon its coming we pause to contemplate our life, we learn anew that we do not live by bread alone, but also by the spiritual nourishment we receive when we open ourselves to your influence. We thank you for the Shabbat day and for the opportunity it offers to enhance the quality of our lives. We thank you for its joy and for its peace. May our worship help us to take into our hearts its message of holiness and consecrate all our days by devotion to what is true, beautiful, and good.
ישמחו במלכותך, ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי שבת וקוראי עונג, המקדשי שביעי, המקדשי שביעי, כולם יספרו ויתענגו מטובך, והשביעי רצית בו וקידשת בו, והשביעי רצית בו וקידשת בו, חמדת ימים
this day be pleasing in your sight. Sanctify us by your commandments, and make us loyal to your teaching. Satisfy us with your goodness, gladden us with your salvation, and purify our hearts to serve you in truth. In your gracious love, eternal one, let the holiness of your Sabbath enter our hearts, and may all Israel who hallow your name be exalted by its peace. We praise you, O God, for the holiness of the Sabbath.
Eternal God, be gracious to your people Israel, and in your love accept their prayers. May our worship now and always be acceptable in your sight. We praise you, O God, whom alone we worship in reverence. We give thanks that you, Eternal One, are our God, as you were the God of our ancestors. You are the rock of our life, the power that shields us in every age. We thank and praise you for our lives, which are in your hand, for our souls which are in your keeping, for the signs of your presence we encounter every day, and for your wondrous gifts at all times, morning, noon, and night. We praise you, O God, source of goodness, to whom our thanks are due. Grant peace, welfare, and blessing, grace, love, and mercy to us and to all Israel. Your people, as a loving parent, bless us with the light of your presence. For by the light of your presence, eternal God, you have revealed to us the law of life, a love of kindness and righteousness, blessing and mercy, life and peace. For it is good in your sight that your people Israel and all peoples be blessed at all times with your gift of peace. We praise you, O God, the source of peace. Baruch atah Adonai, Osei HaShalom.
Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
Turn to page 490, page 490. Assemble the people, men, women, and children, and the strangers in your cities, to hear and learn to revere the Eternal One your God, and observe faithfully all the precepts of this Torah. And let their children who do not yet know it hear, that they too may learn to revere the Eternal One, your God. Please rise.
Bye.
Hayati and Aroma Moshe Moyachdav. Let us magnify the Eternal One. Together, let us exalt God's name.
Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtatavu le'hakodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtatavu le'hakodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtatavu le'hakodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtatavu le'hakodsho.
Please be seated. Traditionally, the Torah portion this week is one that we never give to any bar or bat mitzvah child. It's the Torah. It's all about different kinds of skin diseases and other kinds of things like this. And when I was thinking of how we could honour Nadia, I thought, no, maybe not with that one. It's still a troubling Torah portion. It's about people being rebellious, or just after they've been rebellious. I've chosen a portion just after the Israelites have sinned by building a golden calf, creating a golden calf. And this is the aftermath of it. For those of you who are very keen of ear and wish to have a challenge, I'd love you to get the connection that I made between this portion and the Haftarah. The Haftarah is for Shabbat Hagadol. It's the Sabbath which precedes Pesach, and in Orthodox synagogues it would be one of the 3 times in the year when the rabbi would get the opportunity to deliver an incredibly extended, very, 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 very long sermon. I promise I will not do that today. But there's a little bit of a connection between the two, so I challenge you to see what was going on in Rabbi Aaron's head when he connected these two portions together. I'm coming to it, Dennis, don't worry. It's on page 648. Page 648. If you're following in the Chumash, which is this big thing, you haven't got it in your prayer books or anything, but you can listen because Cantor tomorrow will translate as well.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam ba'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam ba'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher b'chanbanu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai notein haTorah.
Amen. Vayar Moshe et ha'am ki varoahu. Ki vara'o Aharon l'shimtza b'kamehem. Vaya'amod Moshe b'shar ha'machane. Vayomer mil Adonai elai. Ve'asvu elav kol b'nei Levi. Vayomer lahem. Ko amar Adonai Elohei Yisrael. Simu ishchar bo al yerecho. Yivru vashuvu mishar lashar b'machane. Vehirgu ish et achiv. Ve'ish et rehu ve'ish et karovo. V'yasu b'nei Levi kidvar Moshe. Vayipol min ha'am bayom hahu. Kishloshet alpei ish. Vayomer Moshe, mileu yedechem hayom ladonai, ki ish bivno ve'achiv, velatet alechem hayom beracha. Vayehi mimachorat, vayomer Moshe el ha'am, atem chatatem chata'a gedola. Ve'ata e'ele el Adonai אולי אכפרה בעד חטאתכם. וישוב משה אל אדוני ויאמר, אנא חטא העם הזה חטאה גדולה, ויעשו להם אלוהי זהב. ואתה אם תעשה חטאתם, ואם אין, מחני נא מספרך אשר כתבת. ויאמר אדוני אל משה, מי אשר חטא לי, אמחנו מספרי. ואתה לך נחה את העם, על אשר דיברתי לך, הנה מלאכי לך לפניך. וביום פקדי, ופקדתי עליהם חטאתם. ויגוף אדוני את העם, על אשר עשו את העגל, אשר עשה אהרון.
Moses saw that the people were out of control, since Aaron had let them get out of control, so that they were a menace to any who might oppose them. Moses stood up in the gate of the camp and said, "Whoever is for the Eternal, come here." And all the men of Levi rallied to him. He said to them, "Thus says the Eternal, the God of Israel, each of you put sword on thigh, go back and forth from gate to gate throughout the camp, and slay sibling, neighbor, and kin." The men of Levi did as Moses has bidden, and some 3,000 of the people fell that day. And Moses said, "Dedicate yourselves to the Eternal this day, for each of you has been against blood relations, that God may bestow a blessing upon you today." The next day Moses said to the people, "You have been guilty of a great sin, yet I will now go up to the Eternal. Perhaps I may win forgiveness for your sin." Moses went back to the Eternal and said, "Alas, this people is guilty of a great sin in making for themselves a god of gold. Now, if you will forgive their sin, well and good. But if not, erase me from the record which you have written." But the Eternal said to Moses, "Only one who has sinned against me will I erase from my record. Go now, lead the people where I told you. See, my angel shall go before you, but when I make an accounting, I will bring them to account for their sins." Then the Eternal sent a plague upon the people for what they did with the calf that Aaron made.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tachenu. Baruch atah Adonai, notein haTorah.
Amen. Please rise. It's the heaviest one, so I'm going to pull it back.
רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להקדשו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להקדשו. כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו.
Before we put the Taurus away, we ask God to bless Nadia. Now, I sort of did choose a little bit this portion with Nadia in mind as well, because the Israelites had been a little bit rebellious. And
Very cheeky.
you can see in a short period of time I've got to know your sister quite well.
Nadia, for the time that you have been in our community, it really has been a delight to have you here. You have brought such incredible character to our community. You've really thrown yourselves in. I don't know if you ever thought you would when you actually became part of this community. But to me, actually, this scroll is symbolic of a little bit of a journey that you have come through as well, I think, with our community. It comes from the town of Spišská Nová Ves in Slovakia, and by hook or crook, it ends up with our community, one which truly treasures the heritage of our ancestors, and also one which dedicates itself to maintaining alive the memory of all those who came before us. One of the most visible symbols of your presence in our synagogue is actually outside. You will have seen it if you came in the front entrance. It is our garden for Holocaust survivors to give thanks and appreciation to all that they have brought for our community. And Nadia, bringing her secular life into our community, has designed this beautiful, special space, nearly always a bloom and always a dedication to those who came before us. But in coming into this community, you've also thrown yourself into those who are living, becoming a part of our care team, an active, very active member of it, always letting us know what you think we should be doing within the community. And for that, I'm grateful as well, because in all of the ideas you come up with, there are going to be some nuggets, and we will embrace those, just as we embrace you within the community. So on the occasion of this happy birthday, Yivarechacha Adonai v'yishmerecha, may God bless you and keep you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneka, may God look kindly upon you and be gracious to you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom, may God reach out to you in tenderness and always bring you peace. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much.
Happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
Please be seated. Okay, Jackie. So, as I said, this is an alternative reading for this Shabbat, Shabbat Hagadol, from the prophet, how would you pronounce it, Jackie?
Malachi.
Malachi. I'll pronounce it Malachi then for today.
We praise you, Eternal One, our God, Sovereign of the universe. You inspired the faithful prophets and took pleasure in the words they spoke in truth. We praise you, O God, for the gift of Torah, your servant Moses, your people Israel, and the prophets of truth and righteousness.
So this is Malachi chapter 3, verses 4 to 24 on page 1654 in the Chumash. Then the offerings of Judah and Jerusalem shall be pleasing to the Lord, as in the days of yore and in the years of old. But first I will step forward to contend against you, and I will act as a relentless accuser against those who have no fear of me, who practice sorcery, who commit adultery, who swear falsely, who cheat labourers of their hire, and who subvert the cause of the widow, orphan, and stranger, said the Lord of hosts. For I am the Lord, I have not changed, and you are the children of Jacob, you have not ceased to be. From the very days of your fathers you have turned away from my laws and have not observed them. Turn back to me, and I will turn back to you, said the Lord of hosts. But you ask, how shall we turn back? Ought man to defraud God? Yet you are defrauding me. And you ask, how have we been defrauding you? In tithe and contribution. You are suffering from a curse, yet you go on defrauding me, the whole nation of you. Bring the full tithe into the storehouse, and let there be food in my house, and thus put me to the test, said the Lord of hosts. I will surely open the floodgates of the sky for you, and pour down boundless blessing. And I will banish the locusts from you, so that they will not destroy the yield of your soil. And your vines in the field shall no longer miscarry, said the Lord of hosts. And all the nations shall account you happy, for you shall be the most desired of lands, said the Lord of hosts. You have spoken hard words against me, said the Lord. But you ask, what have we been saying among ourselves against you? You have said, it is useless to serve God. What have we gained by keeping his charge and walking in abject awe of the Lord of hosts? And so we account the arrogant happy. They have indeed done evil and endured. They have indeed dared God and escaped. In this vein have those who revere the Lord been talking to one another. The Lord has heard and noted it, and a scroll of remembrance has been written at his behest concerning those who revere the Lord and esteem his name. And on the day that I am preparing, said the Lord of hosts, they shall be my treasured possession. I will be tender toward them as a man is tender toward a son who ministers to him. And you shall come to see the difference between the righteous and the wicked, between him who has served the Lord and him who has not served him. For lo, that day is at hand, burning like an oven. All the arrogant and all the doers of evil shall be straw, and the day that is coming, said the Lord of hosts, shall burn them to ashes and leave of them neither stock nor boughs. But for you who revere my name, a son of victory shall rise to bring healing. You shall go forth and stamp like stall-fed calves. And you shall trample the wicked to a pulp, for they shall be dust beneath your feet on the day that I am preparing, said the Lord of hosts. Be mindful of the teaching of my servant Moses, whom I charged at Horeb with laws and rules for all Israel. Lo, I will send the prophet Elijah to you before the coming of the awesome, fearful day of the Lord. He shall reconcile fathers with sons and sons with their fathers, so that, when I come, I do not strike the whole land with utter destruction. Lo, I will send the prophet Elijah to you before the coming of the awesome, fearful day of the Lord.
We praise you, Eternal One, our God, Sovereign of the universe. You have been our source of strength and righteousness throughout the ages. The faithful God whose word is deed, whose every word is true and just. For the Torah, for the privilege of worship, for the prophets, and for this Sabbath day, which you, Eternal God, have given us for holiness and rest, for honour and beauty, for all these we offer thanks. May all the living come to praise your name forever. We praise you, O God, for the holiness of the Sabbath.
Don't go anywhere for a moment. I now remember what I truly miss by not having an active Oaklands drama group here, because I'm going to have to ask you to come and read Haftarah far more often. It's just so lovely to hear your voice, as well as to see your presence as well. Misha Berach Avotenu Avraham Yitzhak v'Yaakov v'imotenu Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah hu yavarech hachavarim shelanu shal'o lichvod hamakom v'lichvod hashabbat. May the one who blessed our ancestors bless the bullocks who have come up onto this bima today in thanksgiving for all of the years that they have lived and all the years that they have lived together. You've been blessed with an awesome family. You have been blessed with incredible love that has stretched for many years in generations before you and now will do in generations after you as well. You have been blessed to see that sight and experience those lives. Now today, may I ask God to bless you with happy years together. Years to celebrate life, to dance, to speak words of love to each other, to always appreciate each other, to be gentle when words of criticism are spoken, and just to stand as the two of you are, as solidly today as all of the years of your married life. Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you in all that you undertake, bring you fullness and happiness of life, together with your gorgeous family and with us, your community. And let us say, Amen. 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 Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, Chris.
Thank you.
Would you please rise? And at the foot of page 493, we read together, Eternal God, whose dominion embraces the universe, we ask your blessing for our sovereign Lady, Queen Elizabeth, and all the royal family, for those who govern our country, and all who influence the quality of its national life. Make them conscious of their responsibility, and teach them to exercise it in accordance with your will. May we all help to fashion in this country a society that excels in freedom and justice, tolerance and compassion, so that it may be a force for righteousness and peace in the life of humanity. Misha Berach Abotenu ve'imotenu. May the one who blessed our ancestors bless all our brothers and sisters of the house of Israel, who went to synagogues to pray and to give aid to those in need. May the Holy One, to whom all praise is due, hear their prayers and help them to fulfill their aspirations for good. And together, Eternal God, our rock and redeemer, grant blessing to the state of Israel, created to fulfill an age-old dream and to be a haven for the oppressed. Inspire its leaders and citizens with faithfulness to the aims of its founders, to develop the land for the benefit of all its inhabitants, and to implement the prophetic ideals of liberty and justice. May they live in harmony with one another and in peace with their neighbours, and cause to come true once more the ancient vision, that out of Zion shall go forth Torah, and the word of God from Jerusalem. Yehallelu et Shem Adonai, kiniskav shemo levado.
Hodo al eretz v'shamayim, vayarem keren le'amo, tehila lechol chasidav, livnei Yisrael, am keravo, hallelujah, hallelujah.
And over the page, this is the covenant I will make with the house of Israel in time to come, says the Eternal Lord. I will put my teaching within them and engrave it on their hearts. I will be their God, and they shall be my people. No longer shall anyone need to teach a friend or a neighbour to know me. They all shall know me, young and old alike.
Hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva Chadesh Yameinu kekedem Chadesh Yameinu kekedem.
Please be seated.
So, did anyone work out how Rabbi Aaron Brain works? What was the connection between the two portions? Rebellion, yes, rebellion, reconciliation, could be a bit of that, bit of both, yes. Pardon me? Forgiveness, absolutely. There was one specific sort of, very specific link in there. There we go. Okay. I'll leave it at that. Okay. Now, if you want to know, it's actually about writing. In both portions, and in the Exodus portion, it's written down, God writes down who were the ones who actually maintained their loyalty to God. And in the Malachi passage, sorry, I'm sure you pronounce it better than me, there's also a book of remembrance. And it sort of ties in at this time of year. Because depending on which way round you look at the Jewish year, We are either approaching the beginning of the year or the halfway point. Both are biblical possibilities. There are a number of connections between the two, exemplified in the Haftarah this day on Shabbat Hagadol, literally the Great Shabbat. The theme of return, teshuvah, following sin. It says in Malachi, "From the days of your ancestors you have strayed from my statutes and have not observed them. Return to me, and I will return to you." And a heavenly accounting book. Then those who revered the Eternal talked to each other. The Eternal listened and took note of it. And a scroll of remembrance was written before God concerning those who revered and valued God, rather like the book of life of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. There is recognition of the connection of the people between God and the people. Whilst at the High Holy Days no intermediary is required, at Pesach we invite Elijah in, who, according to Malachi's prophecy, God is sending, heralding the coming of the ultimate great day. This vision of a messianic age is defined by the unification of generations, to turn the hearts of parents to their children and the hearts of children to their parents. At least twice in the year, we usher in the potential of such an age, when at the High Holy Days and at Pesach, we gather together the generations. Why is Elijah required to turn hearts of generations to another? Surely, intergenerational family gatherings are only ones of celebration and joy. This synagogue has a particular interest in events in Sudan. For a number of years, NPLS welcomed Mustafa Hasabala, then a Darfuri asylum seeker, fleeing what has been known as the first genocide of the 21st century. The atrocities committed against black African Darfuris by Janjaweed, mainly Arab militias, were facilitated by the Sudanese leaders. The deposition of President Bashir, quickly followed by his successor, who was clearly tainted with the same crimes, was a victory for the thousands of Sudanese who peacefully continue to sit in the streets of Khartoum, seeking transition to civilian rule and democracy. A fascinating feature of the demonstrators were the high proportion of women and young people, personified by Ala Sela, a 22-year-old architecture student. There is a clear distinction between the entirely male, aged military leadership and that of the youthful female and male faces on the streets. Disenfranchisement and disillusionment of generations are also evident in Algeria and this week amongst young Israeli Arab voters. The latter are more attuned to social media and opportunities provided them in society than by political parties who have abandoned activity on university campuses, which in the past had been a hothouse of political activity for generations and played a large role in shaping the younger generation's political positions. In recent years, the ageing Arab parties have hardly showed up there at all, which helps explain why so many of the younger Arab generation said they wouldn't vote, didn't even know or could name the leaders of the political parties. They've been completely switched off. Just one of the contributory factors to another Netanyahu victory in elections this week. One thing that can be said is that younger generations, soldiers of the IDF, who took Bibi to such a stunning victory, shows that, well, there isn't quite such generational marginalization in Israel, although we may have concerns about the outcomes there. We hope and pray that in all of these countries, enough commonality is identified to allow different generations, backgrounds and interests to coalesce and see the greatness of the whole that can be achieved together rather than through selfish opposition. In our community, we have commemorated the end but celebrated the life of a 101-year-old great-grandmother this week. The notion of 4 generations meaningfully knowing each other is utterly remarkable. The love that can inspire is immense. And we also know the risk of very different worldviews living alongside each other. It demands patience, love, and the assumption of good intentions for all to live in harmony side by side. When we sit around the Seder table as generations, it is the task of the younger generations to listen, to learn, and to clarify what are the elements of previous generations that have become canonized, essential to the spiritual experience of an age. It is also the task of those more mature to revel in the creativity, the innovation and progression of those younger, to see themselves doing such if they were to be of that generation. When times are tough, it is easier to unify. Our tradition understands all the Israelites who have stood and sung together at the Sea of Reeds, having gained their freedom. It is harder when times are good, when we live largely in safety and security. Then we have time to argue. But by the time we come to Chad Gadya at our Seder tables, at this important time of the year, a new beginning or a halfway point, a time of opening books of remembrance, our Haggadot, telling the stories of our generations, taking moments of reflection and opportunity to turn over anew with the spring season. Then may we be in harmony with all those seated and our generations throughout time, to sing, yet though our mouths should overflow with song as a sea. Perhaps we will then only need Elijah for an illusory sip of wine from a dedicated goblet, a messianic moment when young children delight in the nudged table and moving wine. Parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents chuckle and giggle with youth to see their future. Yet though our mouths should overflow together with song at the sea. To page 519. Page 519 for our concluding prayers. And please rise when you're ready.
Baruch Adonai Leolam.
Amen v'amen.
Baruch Adonai Elohim Elohei Yisrael, Oseh niflaot levado. Uvaruch Shem Kvodo Leolam,
V'yamale chavodo et kol haaretz.
Amen.
Ve'amen. The eternal God shall rule over all the earth. On that day the eternal God shall be one, and known to be one. May your love, O God, rest upon us as we rest our hope in you. All the nations that you have made shall come and bow down before you and honor your name.
Let God be praised by day. Let God be praised by night.
Let God be praised when we lie down. Let God be praised when we rise up. Our God in heaven, let your unity be acknowledged and your sovereignty established forever. Reign over us now and always.
Adonai, Melech Adonai, Malach Adonai, Imloch le'olam va'ed. Page 523. It is hard to feel serene when our world is not complete, when those who once brought wholeness to our life have gone. Yet in the emptiness their passing leaves behind, we are not alone. We have the companionship of the living, and even our loved ones who have died live on in our hearts. For what they were is part of what we have become. On this Shabbat, we recall the yahrzeits in our community of Albert Benny Blind, the son of Ada Blind, brother of Renée Simmons, Bernard and Morris Blind, of Beatrice Siegel, the mother of Barbara Fraser, and of one of Barbara's close family friends who died in Israel this week, Panina Shohan. Of June Cohen, the mother of Jonathan Cohen and Juliet Klein. Of Lily Berg, the mother of Judith Rose. Pearl Ekovitz, the mother of Sharon Downs. And of Avavit Katsiel, a friend of those of us who grew up around young adult population at a certain time in London, the tent community. And we're saddened by the deaths of our members this week, Michael Isaacs, the husband of Heather, and also of Helder Budd, 101, the mother of Erica Peters and grandmother of our member Cara Heward, great-grandmother of Reggie and Jessie Heward. We honour our loved ones best when we live as they would wish, responsibly and happily even in the shadow of our loss, and so draw closer to the source of life, in whom every life finds meaning, purpose, and hope. And together, Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ve'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, man kari v'imru amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mavarach le'olam ulalmei amaya, yibarach v'ishtabach v'pa'ah v'tromam v'yitnasei, v'tada v'talei v'talal shemei d'kodesha b'richu, Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran ba'alma v'imru amen. V'heish lama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'yal kol Israel v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'imromav, u'ya'asei shalom, aleinu v'yal kol Israel, v'yal kol b'nei adam, v'imru amen. May great peace descend from heaven, and abundant life be granted to us, to all Israel, to all humanity, and to all those who mourn. Let us say, Amen. Please be seated. I've lost track of what we're concluding with. Yeah, Yom Israel, absolutely. Just before we conclude this service, just a couple of reminders of a few wonderful things coming up. A little bit into the future, May the 10th, we have our Czech and Slovak Torah Scrolls Memorial Weekend. We've noticed that it coincides with Yom Ha'atzmaut, and we are delighted that we will have the Czech ambassador to London with us, and also a very important person from the Israeli embassy. We'll let you decide who that might be, we're not allowed to say. And they will be joining us speaking as we open an exhibition, the first, what do you call it when it's the first?
Inaugural?
Yeah, inaugural opening of this exhibition in London. It's given to us by the president of the Czech police. they commissioned it to celebrate the relationship between Czechoslovakia and the nascent Israeli state. If it weren't, one could argue, for Czechoslovakia providing support for the then non-existent Israeli Air Force and to create it within their own country, one could argue that perhaps Israel would not have won its war of independence. This exhibition is awesome. I've seen it in Prague. It's coming over here. Please do come and see its inaugural, thank you, opening on that evening, and also to hear the ambassador and a very important person. We will have a short service afterwards as well, that moment in time, and I promise you Pilsner. Pilsner Urquell, I think, from my favourite town of Pilsen. We have a scroll from the town of Pilsen, which has one of its features is the brewery of Pilsner Urquell. So come and enjoy some Pilsner Urquell, some real heritage, and meet some very important people. Actually, just as importantly, is this Wednesday evening. Last night, and if you weren't here last night or got to experience last night's service yet, please go online and do look back. We had a smorgasbord of musicians here. It was an utterly awesome service, and the piece de resistance is Erwin Kiely's, who is a professional musician, and whenever I sort of nod to him to do a solo, it's like, oh, it's amazing. Erwin and his wife Gaynor, who is a backing singer, are supporting Tamara on Wednesday evening.
We are creating a sort of, we're not calling it rock choir, we're calling it NPLS Sings Rock. It's not so much a choir in that you don't need to be a professional singer or even necessarily like the sound of your own singing voice to join. You just need to like to sing. And you all can teach me all of the music I didn't grow up with, but the music that you might have grown up with. So Queen, or the Beatles, or Led Zeppelin. We have
ABBA in there as well.
ABBA,
Yeah,
definitely ABBA in there. We have a set list right now of about 6 songs and growing. So if you love rock music, if you love singing, even if you're only used to singing in the shower or in the car, please come along. You'll be surrounded by other people that might not be super operatic, incredible singers, but love singing, and that is the only thing that matters. So if you love singing and rock music, come along on Wednesday night at 7:30, and I look forward to seeing you there.
Last night, Erwin announced it as pop music. I said, yeah, but look, my daughter's here, so what she thinks is pop music may not be the same as what you think is pop music, so he had to narrow it down just a little bit. Anyway, let us conclude this service on page 644 with plenty of hearty singing to celebrate the joy of the Sabbath, and then to come next door into the Zorea Hall for Kiddush together. Page 644, page 644.
Yom Zel Yisrael, Ora v'simcha, Ora v'simcha, Shabbat menucha. Yom Zel Yisrael, Ora v'simcha, Shabbat, Shabbat menucha, menucha, Shabbat, Shabbat menucha. Tzivita pikudim b'ma'at Sinai, Shabbat u'moadim nishmu b'chol shanai, La'aroch lefanai ma'aseh v'arucha, Shabbat, Shabbat menucha, menucha, Shabbat, Shabbat menucha, Yom Zeh, Yom Zeh Yisrael, Ora v'simcha, Ora v'simcha, Shabbat menucha, Yom Zeh Yisrael, Ora v'simcha, Shabbat, Shabbat menucha, menucha, Shabbat, Shabbat menucha. Chemdat havavot liuma shavura, Nifashot nechavot neshama yitzera, Minefesh metzera yasira nacha, Shabbat, Shabbat menucha, menucha, Shabbat, Shabbat menucha, Yom Zeh, Yom Zeh Yisrael, Ora v'simcha, Ora v'simcha, Shabbat menucha, Yom Zeh Yisrael, Ora v'simcha, Shabbat, Shabbat menucha, menucha, Shabbat, Shabbat Menucha. קידשת ברכת אותו מכל ימים בששת כילית מלאכת עולמים בו מצוח וממשכי טוב ביתך שבת שבת מנוחה מנוחה שבת שבת מנוחה יום זה ישראל אורה ושמחה אורה ושמחה שבת מנוחה יום זה ישראל אורה ושמחה שבת שבת מנוחה מנוחה שבת שבת מנוחה.
Please rise. Adonai oz le'amo yitain. Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. Eternal God, grant strength to your people. Eternal God, bless your people with peace. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Standing nearer, and that one was doing this one.